It's quite right that the Labour Party should be suspending Andy Brown from running in Scotland. And there are two reasons. So the reason which seems to be headlining is that Andy Robinson had quoted Russia Today as saying that this was that the toxins which were used in Salisbury were produced in the UK or the US or in NATO, when we know that Novichock is a Russian nerve agent, a radioactive thing, and in the wake of the Litvinenko story and poisoning as well, it's there is form here, and the attempted poisoning of Sergei Skripal and his daughter Julia, the policeman Nick Bailey, and there are clear signals pointing to Russia, to Mishkin, to Chapiga, to Sergeyev, and whether they're known under their aliases or not, Fedotov, Petrov, Boshirov. It doesn't matter. But the other issue, which doesn't get mentioned particularly in the press, is that he's also put out anti-Semitic rubbish, saying that, quoting a Jewish historian who said that the real issue is the right-wing Jews in the Labour Party and outside the party object to the fact that Jeremy Corbyn is a consistent supporter of Palestinian rights. I don't understand how this sort of person can end up being promoted to a point where they're standing in a parliamentary constituency, and I don't understand why it should have got so far. The stuff that he was putting out about the right-wing Jewish groups in the Labour Party, it's contemptuous. But it was there 2 years ago or so, and the Novichock stuff 2 or more years ago. So it's about a lazy, self-righteous, self-satisfied, smug institution, and all of these parties belong to that problem. RT is not necessarily the problem. It's whether or not somebody is prepared to analyze what's in RT. There are many news channels around the world, some of which are dodgy, some of which are not. And I think that the last time I was interviewed on RT, I listened to the previous piece, and I used the interview to point out that what had just been said was wrong. I think that's a healthy use of an interview request, and I was rather pleased about that. I wasn't asked again, of course, and I don't expect to be. And I've had a lot of dealings with Russia. I taught in a Russian university. I'm a Russian professor, but I don't think I've really taken the money. I think my university has never paid me. I think there was a small point when maybe they were trying to, but I had to join a Russian bank and be paid through a Russian card of some sort, and it never worked. It never worked. So I think they never in the end paid me. And so yes. But that said, I met so many wonderful people while I was working in Russia. So many thoughtful individuals, so many wonderful academics, so many wonderful students, and I'm never short of praise for the Russian people. I also met Russian officials who were utterly corrupt, and who seemed to think that simply because I was in a position of authority, I would share their views, which I don't. I remember meeting a man who looked like a toad. He ended up as the Speaker of the Duma or something, I think. He was a man called Tolstoy, and he seemed to think I would share his views about the new laws coming in about to prohibit the dissemination of LGBTQ plus, quote, propaganda. Of course I didn't. I thought it was a ridiculous law, and I thought it was oppressive, and I was happy to tell him. He then went on to tell me how Jews were desecrating Orthodox churches, which I told him was poppycock. I don't think he liked me. I certainly didn't like him. And I think you've got to call out nonsense where it occurs, but the nonsense is not in the organisations themselves. And the fact that there is a debate about where Novichock comes from, of course, is perfectly reasonable, because we don't know. We can't know. But the evidence points to Russia. The evidence certainly doesn't point to the UK, to the US, or to NATO. And as for the other stuff that Mr. Brown put out, it's just anti-Semitic claptrap. And I'm delighted that his candidacy has been withdrawn. I presume that means that the Labour Party is not fielding a Labour candidate in that constituency, because the ballot papers have already been printed.